We are with Giora and Kay Chan, and today we are talking about their beautiful new book, China, the Cookbook, which is just such a gorgeous tome. So thank you so much for being here with me.
You're welcome.
So this book is really an overview of Chinese cuisine, which is such an expansive topic. And I think that for American audiences, they tend not to understand the regional differences between Chinese cuisine. So tell me a little bit about, as you were, conceptualizing the book, how you sort of saw to take such a large topic and distill it down into one book.
Well, if we're going to put the name China on the book, it's got to be more than 8 regions. China is much bigger than that.
Cover the whole China.
And we selected regions and sub-regions. There are many sub-regions that sort of stands by itself in terms of importance. So I think we covered more than 33 regions and sub-regions in the book. And I think that way all of China is represented.
And so for American audiences, when you look at the Chinese cuisine that we have here, talk to me a little bit about sort of the regions that Americans might be more familiar with, and what are the regions that you think are completely underrepresented here?
I think people usually only understand the Sichuan food, the Cantonese, some Shanghainese. That's it.
Of course, there are the 8 major regions that people always refer to, and they are Sichuan, Guangdong, Fujian, Hunan, also Chile. You have Zhejiang, Jiangsu, Anhui, and Shandong. And yet there are quite a bit more. As you go up north or you go to the northwest, some completely different styles. For example, if we go to the northwest, to places like Shanxi or even further west, they get a lot of influence through the Silk Road from West Asia, from Persia, and places like that. And so they develop a different style of cuisine, totally different from what you get from the 8 regional styles. Or if you go up north, go to Beijing area, you get something still different because they get influence from people from northeast. Totally different kind of styles that you can experience as you go around the country. You would go to places like Shanxi, which again, they are big on noodles with a lot of vinegar in them. It is totally different from anything you can get in the United States.
And you mentioned vinegar. I mean, one of the things I love about this book is there's a lot of flavors represented here that a lot of Western audiences wouldn't necessarily associate with China. What are some of the ingredients in particular and styles that you are sort of excited to showcase here for audiences that maybe aren't quite as used to it as being Chinese cuisine?
We all know about Sichuan food, which is, people say it's hot and spicy, yet Sichuan food is not always that way. It is only about 40% hot and spicy and 60% not. Because chili was only introduced into China around the 15th century. So it's been around for like 600 years. It's a short time in Chinese history. So before that, it was not hot, no chili. And same is true with Hunan food. Nowadays, the Hunan people would bite on a raw chili and go with rice, and that's all they need. But not so a few hundred years ago. Then if you go to some of the different regions, like for example, you go to Hunan region, which is surrounded by a lot of lakes. And so their cuisine has a lot of what they sometimes call a water banquet. So it really depends on where you go. You get something that's totally unexpected and different. If you go to Mongolia, for example, in Mongolia, well, their cuisine is very simple. Basically, they have 2 ways to cook. They like to cook lamb. One way is to boil it. Boil the whole lamb. They have a big wok and put the whole lamb into it, and they serve the whole lamb on a block of wood. Everybody's got a knife, and that's what you eat with. The other way they would cook it, they would roast the whole lamb. Roast lamb and boil lamb. So if you go in Mongolia, you say, how come there are only 2 styles? Because, again, historically, the Mongolians were nomads. As I said, as Genghis Khan takes his army across the grassland, he didn't have enough cart to bring food. So he had a lot of sheep that walks around together with the army. And so this is how they cook, and they carry their food on four legs.
Right. They're not carrying spices around.
Right, nothing. They add a little bit of salt, and that's all they use. So again, it is a totally different style, but also very, very tasty.
So Mongolia aside, are there regions that you particularly love that you hope can gain in popularity, that might be the next region that we focus on?
If you go down to the southwest in the Yunnan province, that area, Yunnan has most of the world's mushrooms. The majority of most of the variety comes out of Yunnan.
And more than over 2,000 different kinds of mushroom.
And oftentimes they would cook it in a simple way. They would do it in a hot pot of chicken broth. They would put a little bit of ham in it and just dip in fresh mushrooms. Extremely tasty. So that is something I would recommend people who want to try something different. Unlike Cantonese food or Sichuanese, Yunnan food is in terms of flavor, it's simple. It's chicken broth mostly, and then you get a full taste of the mushrooms.
If you're interested in Chinese cuisine, this to me is like the Bible of Chinese cooking for anyone who isn't familiar. So if you want to pick it up, it is China the Cookbook. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you very much.